to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I'm your host for episode number 308, as we're going to jump almost very quickly into the preseason Mastery Madness. If you guys want to know what our schedule is, I will tell you that after I introduce everybody. So Punch is here.
Can I join you on this Mastery Madness?
Absolutely you can.
All right.
Hop on the train, buddy. Daze is here.
Hey.
Serial is here.
What's up?
And Chira Jaden is here.
Yo.
All right, guys. We have a special announcement for this weekend that I should have announced last podcast because it would have circulated to people. But we are doing Extra Life this Saturday. It is on November 7th. We are starting at 8 a.m. in the morning. That's Eastern Daylight Time. Or I guess it's Eastern Standard Time now.
Yeah.
We had the clock.
Yeah,
so,
as of Sunday.
Right. I need to change stuff like that. It's Eastern Standard Time, not Eastern Daylight Time. 8 a.m. We're going to be starting then. At 3 o'clock, we will have a 1v1 with Bao Bao and another High Diamond Masters player. They will be doing, you guys can donate to make them doing really stupid stuff, kind of like we did with Operation Supply Drop, if you remember that. And later that evening, starting at 8 o'clock that evening, Eastern Standard Time, we will be playing the Just Okay Gamers podcast / community, and we will be doing a 5v5 with them, but this is a fun 5v5, again, where people will be able to donate to make us do some really stupid stuff. So we brought a lot of those rules over from the last one, where, you know, $10 make everyone run Smite, or like $20 does this, and you can go look at that. It's all on the subreddit. T-Force Network is a subreddit.
I'm real scared to see what the donations are for me when I'm drinking at 8 in the morning, because that's going to be real rough. Everyone gets me hammered by 10 a.m. when I'm done, and I'm like, all right, time to tailgate. Pass out.
Hell no, you're going all day with this.
I have to. Well, no, I will not be there all day. But
he's going to take a nap.
8 to 10 a.m.
Yeah, we can do that. And so Guido is going to jump on. He's going to at least play one game with us, and then he's going to jump on, potentially help shoutcast with Kargan and Santana and all those guys. Lanzolini, he'll be doing it. I believe Lashak is doing some Dungeons and Dragons games during the day. My girlfriend and I will be joining for that at one point. I think Chira, are you jumping in on those?
I have no idea, but I can if you want me to.
Ask Lashak. I don't know what his plans are with those people, but just jump in.
All right.
Punch if you want to play. Daze, anybody. If you guys just message the Shock and say you want to be there for that Dungeons & Dragons game. I guess earlier in the day, the Dungeons & Dragons game is going to be a Disney Princesses version of Dungeons &
God,
Dragons.
I have to be involved in that. All right.
I have no idea how to play, so
it doesn't matter. It's not super difficult, and it'll be really, really funny.
You are your character. That's all you need to know. You role play your character.
You.
That's going to be real awesome. Our goal is $3,000, and during the day, so there's going to be a bunch of awesome prizes for every block of time that we have there. Again, the schedule is over on the subreddit, T-Force Network, or go to trinityforcenetwork.com and click on the Extra Life picture. And we will, throughout the entire day, if you donate a minimum of $20, you'll be in the running for some reactive gear, which is compression gear. Chira has used it. He said, it works really well. They have an armband that goes all the way around your wrist and up onto your bicep. And they also have some compression socks. And they'll be giving 12 of those away throughout the day for anybody who donates $20 minimum. Will be put in the raffle for that. And then during the individual events, like the D&D session and stuff, they'll be giving away specific prizes such as $10 in RP, $25 in RP. I think there's gonna be like a Dungeons & Dragons. It's gonna be a T-shirt or mug or like a really cool, like a good hard copy of the guide or whatever it is. We're just throwing those out there. They'll be calling those out during the entire event. Now, I do need to shout out the Esports Q and Reactive Gaming because those guys are helping us put this on, or Reactive Gear, Reactive Designs, excuse me, and esportsq.com. Esports Q will be putting on the 1v1 event for us, and Reactive is donating that compression gear. So we're just hoping to raise a ton of money for Extra Life. That's really the goal for this, is to raise a ton of money for the kids and get some kids some video game consoles and whatnot. So we're excited. Other than that, I will do the rest of the announcement at the end of the podcast. So we're going to jump right into PBE discussion. Who's ready? I know Punch is.
Totally ready.
Wait, can I second this guy that says that you guys have to dress in character for the Disney Princess Dungeons and Dragons?
Talk to LeShock.
I think you guys should have to do that.
We're gonna have to know ahead of time who
Who we
playing.
are.
Yeah,
I don't-
we
I'm
gotta get wigs. It's gonna be hard to get a costume after Halloween. Like I'm sure all the shops are out. It's gonna be difficult. We need time to prepare for this.
If I would have known a week ago, I'd have went and bought a fucking Jasmine costume and rocked the shit out of that. It'd have been great.
No, I'll Skype in from
With the
tailgates
beard and
just for that.
everything?
Yeah, I whatever.
Well, I mean, shaving the
make it
beards
work.
is a donation incentive, so he has to keep that on.
No, I
A
like
while, at least.
I like what Oni said, because you need to be Chira Bell, Jaden, because you could double as the Beast as well.
All right, you know what? That's true. We could make that work. Oh, Amazon.
One last thing before we jump into PBE. If you're watching live, let me know if the new scene, if you like it, if you don't like it, if it's too distracting while we're talking, if you think it needs to be toned down a little bit. We're just, Jonathan, you remember him from the All Mid podcast? He put a new scene together for us. And I expressed my concern that I think it's a little too busy, but I wanted to see what it looked like after we got it going and all the cameras here. So tonight's kind of like a test run. And if it's too much, just give us some feedback. Go check it out on youtube.com/TForce podcast.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looks like we're underwater.
I know. It does, doesn't it? I kind of wanted him to do something else. It was like a little less. It's got a lot of motion to it, and we've got us moving, so I think it's kind of like distracting compared to the cameras, but let us know how it looks. That's it. So yeah, Punch, if you're playing that, will you do like Mulan? Will you dress up? Who's the main character from Mulan?
Mulan.
Mulan?
Yeah, there you go.
Are you serious? Oh my god!
I'm drunk. I'm
All right,
drunk.
we're done. I think we can end the podcast there. We're good.
I'm hurting a little.
Oh
you
my
know what,
God.
Adam?
I don't think anyone can take anything else we say as accurate information after that.
Yeah.
I don't do Disney princesses. All right. The last
Who's
Disney
the main
princess.
character for Mulan?
You could have guessed the only name in the fucking title and gotten it right.
You're right. I'm an idiot.
It's like the only Disney movie named after the character too.
Finding Nemo, Snow White, Cinderella.
All right, well we have like
11.
Serial here, so
Serial, the Disney princess. All right, we gotta talk about
Right.
PBE.
Serialella.
We need to talk PBE. So we're going to talk masteries tonight. Schedule for PBE discussion. Last time we talked marksman. Then we're going to talk masteries. Next Monday, we're going to talk itemization. Wednesday, we're going to talk ranked queues and the changes to that. And then we're going to do a wrap-up post. I think that's everything. That's 5 podcasts total. I think that's everything they've thrown out so far. And if something else pops up in between then and now, we will always just chalk it onto the end. And the PBE wrap-up will be going back over everything we've already talked about. Essentially, it might be a little bit longer of a podcast, or maybe a little shorter. Who knows? It's just going to try to put it all together, and then we'll go from there. I also know that at some point in the middle of the month, we're going to have Skyan on from Caster Comics to talk about the art direction in League and all the good stuff, and talk about his beginner LCS stream, and have a fun conversation with him. I can't schedule that without the PBE being done, unfortunately. So Skyan, if you're listening, we're getting you. So let's talk mastery. So they've changed the masteries completely, essentially. I mean, some of them that you may recognize are there. The main point the masteries now is that it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiers, with the 6th tier being Keystone Mastery. Every tier you can put the first tier you put 5 points in. The next tier it's 1, 5, 1, 5, and then 1 again. And you can split that 5 points in any tier between the 2 abilities, but you can never go back and get that second ability. Like you
can't max the second ability. You can't
Exactly.
You can't go over 5 total split between the 2.
Right. So
And you can't use that 5 points in another tier either. You have to use that 5 points in that tier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to do 5 points in the first tier because it automatically gives it to you. But you could split it if you listen. You could split it so it'd be like 2 and 3. Instead,
Yep.
That's
I haven't seen a
really
lot of
split.
times where that's going to be super great. I know we'll cover those over time, but there haven't been a lot of ones I've seen that you'd really want to split between so far.
Yeah, I think they designed it that way so that you just go all in
One
on
or
one.
the other.
We'll see. So we're going to talk about, they've changed the trees to be ferocity, cunning, and resolve. The big pieces that we'll be talking about during today are the Keystone Masteries, which is your 1-point wonder. Think of it as your 21-point ability. Now 18 points, am I right?
It's 18 points, and it's also kind of like not only is it kind of way more impactful, but it's kind of changing the way you play. And it also is something that every one of your opponents is aware of what keystone master you've gone. Like, obviously, normally you can't tell what masters or runes people have gone in past seasons, but when you look at the scoreboard now, it shows what keystone that person has taken because it's actually that impactful to how somebody might be playing in comparison to, like, you just saw 21 utility. You're like, all right, well, that's cool. They got extra move speed or CDR, whatever.
Yeah, so you can tell what tree they went down and maxed. You just can't tell their second tree. Which is that's a nice one.
Well, that might still be available via like op.gg or something, but like having something that Riot is telling you offhand is kind of they're saying themselves it's a big deal. So I think that's pretty different from previous seasons.
Forcing people to look at the tab menu, yeah, quite different. So let's talk about Ferocity, and then we'll go to Cunning and Resolve, and we'll talk about the Keystone Masteries. So your first tier in Ferocity now is Fury or Sorcery. You may remember
Can we actually do it? Can we start with the Keystone and work backwards? Because usually that's how people are going to pick their tiers, because usually you want to pick it based on what you want to end up on.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. That works. I like that idea. So let's start with Ferocity at the bottom. We have 3. We have Warlord's Bloodlust. We have Fervor of Battle and Deathfire Touch. Warlord's Bloodlust. Critical strikes heal for 15% of the damage dealt and grant you 20% attack speed for 4 seconds with a 2-second cooldown. Fervor of Battle. Your basic attacks and spells grant you a stack of Fervor for 5 seconds with a max of 10 stacks. Each stack of Fervor adds 1 to 8 bonus physical damage to your basic attack against champions based on your level. Finally, Deathfire Touch. Keep trying to add S. Your damaging abilities cause enemy champions to take 6 plus 50% of your bonus attack damage and 20% of your ability power and magic damage over 3 seconds. Area effect or damage over time abilities apply half of this damage over 1.5 instead. So these, and I think I said this on the podcast on Monday. These are the 3 that people are picking a bunch right now in PvE. Not just because they seem really strong. The other ones there's also some really good ones in the other tiers, but these ones make the most sense if you're not really thinking about it. I don't want to say that people on PvE aren't really thinking, but you can immediately see where these are good on champions. Like critical strikes heal you. Holy shit, that's good. That's amazing on a lot of champions. Like, I don't know, Yasuo, every 80 carry.
Tryndamere.
And then the other 2, Fervor and Deathfire, are very good for 80 casters or 80 champions that are going to be doing a lot of auto attacking but don't build crit. Deathfire Touch, 8 spellcasters. It's pretty straightforward if you don't want to have to try to think too hard about the other ones.
I think the other reason too is so many people are playing 80 carries on PvE right now to mess with all that stuff, and these just really touch them and make a big difference to, their play later.
Yeah, you don't have to think too much either. Like, some of the other ones require you to either do a certain amount of damage, which we'll get to, or like get a certain amount of attacks off, or require other champs to be around. These are just very straightforward. I know that
besides
the
Fervor,
numbers...
Fervor is probably the only one that's not straightforward in the sense that every time you use your basic attack and spells grant you a stack of Fervor. That actually makes me wonder. I don't think that's going to work for Riven because Q isn't a spell.
I think it will. I think it's a spell is an ability. They've never really distinguished between the 2.
They do say spells or abilities, and you're damaging.
Yeah, but you know what? I asked someone earlier about whether or not one of the other ones says abilities and spell damage, and he said no, they're just all abilities. Okay. It's just your abilities. It's not something else.
Okay. Interesting.
But that may have been very specific to the question I asked. So there is that, but that was the response I got, that it was considered that when they said abilities and spells, they just meant your abilities.
That would greatly surprise me if they made a distinction. Skarsgård. I don't think they've made a distinction elsewhere.
Mm-mm.
And if it was only spells, then okay, you're only talking about spellcasters, and those champions like Riven and Fiora, who are the prime candidates for this. What are they going to get? I mean, even spellcast. This wouldn't even be good on spellcasters because you can't cast spells that often.
There's a future one that would still be pretty good, but yeah, I was thinking actually like Riven, Fiora, and ironically somebody I hadn't thought of before I was driving home today, Trundle. If those especially if Q would fix but Renekton, but like somebody who gets a massive attack speed boost but isn't going to build a ton of damage, like something like getting Trundle's W down, having Fervor of Battle means that late game you're getting 80 extra physical damage on your autos, and whacking away on people with just like a Bork would be pretty stupid if you're able to stack that up pretty quickly.
It's basic
Probably
attacks,
be good
though.
on.
So if you're stacking this while you're last hitting to before you go in, kind of like Jax could use this because a lot of times he stacks up before he hits W, and you could just stack on minions to get your third proc.
Well, let's say you're stacking on it, you can just immediately Q dump damage with W. You're getting the extra damage from W and then the added damage from this on top of it. You could actually you could trade a bunch of extra damage. He becomes even more of an annoyance in a drawn out fight, which he was probably going to win anyway. But with this, it kind of seals the deal for him.
The other question is obviously Teemo, like if you go AD Teemo, like he could stack that pretty easy with his mushrooms. But with Jace or Nidalee, how easy would it be for you to just switch stances back and forth and stack that?
Right. Yeah. Oh, geez, that would be.
I have to imagine that they're thinking about that because they stopped it so you can't gain it when you stack with tier anymore because people were just because they were so powerful.
Right.
But it's spending mana. I think that changed to be spending mana, right? It wasn't on spellcast. It was on mana spend, which those don't cost mana. That's the way they.
So
that's how they changed it. That's how
Yeah.
they changed it. But before, it was just using an ability gave you extra mana, and then they changed it so you had to have a mana cost, which is how they changed the tier stack. It wouldn't, I don't think, be difficult to just throw in like if this ability is used, it will not activate X on the mastery.
I'm curious. I think it's going to be really good with, as I said, the non-crit strike, but still auto based AD tanky champs, like non-tanky champs. I think it's going to be really strong on them because they're not going to go the what is it, Warlord's Bloodlust, which I think is really just Yasuo and I don't know, tanky. Sorry, what an ACs.
Sorry, accept that invite because I want to test Jace and Riven.
Or really just do that.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it
right
live
now. We're doing it live
because you wanted to see if Riven did it, and I want to see Jace does it. But we can also move on at the same time. So all you have to do is pick Fervor of Battle essentially and lock in.
My client is really loud, so I'll have to check my audio afterwards to check for that. But holy crap! All right,
I feel like it'd be really strong on bruisers. I mean, I know they're not. Like, we're talking about things that might be OP, and those are things that they'll probably work around later. But I think in general, Fervor could be really strong on bruisers.
Yeah.
If you don't go the utility tree.
It'd be strong on anybody who can last in a fight while still being able to get autos off every once in a while. So even if you're not autoing the same person over and over again, if you're playing Darius and you decide to auto one person, then you turn and auto whoever's close to you because you're slow and you're not exactly going to be able to get to them instantly. You're still building up stacks over time, getting help back from your Q, and you're going to be doing a lot of extra damage if you can continue to do that and then smack things. So I like that on bruisers. It looks good on bruisers.
Cheer, I'm going to be curious to hear your opinion on a later one that kind of exactly was what you were just saying, like getting an auto attack every once in a while, but being a bruiser and staying in fight. Like there's one later that's going to be really curious to hear because it kind of does exactly what you were just saying. But we'll get there in a little bit.
Well, see, Deathfire Touch is an interesting. Oh, we're in the game here, real quick.
I think Deathfire Touch is going to be crazy on like Akali. Like it might be a good way to bring her back.
R does not proc on Jace. Does not proc Fervor.
Okay.
Q does. Q on Riven does.
So I'm gonna leave the game now. But yeah, there you go. So that they have made it so it does not.
Okay. So yeah. All right. Good to test in the middle of the podcast.
Had to. Didn't even think about it before.
Yeah, I know. Cool.
But the people need to know. Sorry, Days, you were saying.
Yeah, I was saying I think Deathfire Touch is gonna be really strong on like your hybrid champions like Akali and things like that. We're gonna be building both AD and ability power.
Yeah, something to keep in mind though is that Sheen, for example, if you're thinking about Trinity Force, Sheen does not have ability power on it anymore.
Right.
So
CR.
So, yeah, but you're talking about like if you were only going something like Sheen, you'd be getting like let's say old Sheen and even into the Triforce part of it, it would be 20% of 30, so 6 damage over 3 seconds. Like it's either going to. I don't really feel like there's a lot of champs that are going to benefit from both very significantly. They're going to get either the tons of bonus attack damage or tons of AP and use that to be the burning side. And I think that's what we saw with that, like Victor players early on, because you get that. You're still getting half the damage, and it's over the half the time, so you're taking at the same rate. And if you get something like a DOT like Cassiopeia, or I think like Victor's instant kind of a hit on the laser, and then the explosion afterwards, you're gonna get maybe multiple ticks. I think it refreshes. It doesn't like you don't stack up ticks.
No, that refreshes itself because Teemo is really powerful right now because Deathfire Touch procs every mushroom tick.
Yeah. So it's essentially like adding like I don't know at 500 AP you're adding about 100 damage, 100 damage over 3 seconds, which isn't too crazy, but it's still like for a mastery that's pretty significant.
Yeah, I think it's definitely better on your squishy targets, like your more glass cannon types, whereas Fervor is great for bruisers because you have to stick around, you know. Deathfire Touch, the more you build of either one of those things, the more effective it's going to be. So you don't want to build it on someone that's not really building much damage.
I think for a few of the, like, I think it's going to be really popular on the more caster-based champions. Like, you think of Xerath, maybe Cass. Now, Cass still has a little bit of blow up. I was going to disclude the bursty champs like LeBlanc and Zed for another future mastery we're going to talk about. Because there's the assassins benefit from, like, the next one we'll talk about in Cunning, which is based on just bursting somebody down really quick, and you get a buff for that. Whereas Deathfire, I think, would be like the Victors.
Sustained damage.
Yeah.
Be sustained like Cunning and sacrifice all the damage and ferocity?
You still get a good bit, though. You're still getting 12 points down there, and all you're missing out is 7% magic pen in that sense. If you're foregoing the keystone and the second to last tier of ferocity.
You're missing natural talent, so you're missing.
No, you get that. You'd still put 12 points.
Oh,
in
I guess all you're missing out is in the flat magic penetration.
It's 7% magic pen, which isn't that crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it can make a big difference when you're talking about someone bursting down.
You're also missing out an additional 2% damage from double-edged sword as well.
Why? You'd have that.
I keep thinking for some reason that you don't go that far. I don't know why. Ignore me. God. The Mulan
let's go to the next keystones, and then we can actually talk about the other,
you're right. You are only missing piercing thoughts. I don't know why I keep thinking you can't go down to natural talent for some reason. All right,
are we going to finish out the ferocity tree, or are we going to go to the next keystones?
Let's talk keystones, and then we'll go out through the rest. Okay. That way people get the big idea here. So Cunning is the middle tree that has Storm Raider's Surge, Thunderlord's Decree, and Windspeaker's Blessing. Now, Storm Raider's Surge, dealing 30% of a champion's max health within 2 seconds, grants you 35% movement speed for 3 seconds. Thunderlord's Decree, your third attack or spell on an enemy champion shocks the area around them, dealing 10 damage per level, plus 20% of your bonus attack damage and 10% of your ability power as magic damage to the enemies in the area. Finally, Windspeaker's Blessing. Your heals and shields are 10% stronger. Additionally, your shields and heals increase your target's resistances by 15% for 3 seconds when you use on an ally other than yourself.
Love that one. Oh my gosh.
This does include Face of the Mountain and Locket and things like that as well.
Beautiful.
Any shield. It's so cool.
It does include those?
Yeah, I checked with Skarzard today.
Yeah, so Storm Raider Surge is the one we were talking about briefly.
That just makes Soraka fucking broken?
Yeah, I tried that with her. Dude, you get 15%, you give somebody 15% resistances, like armor and magic resist. That plus her ult gives those for 3 seconds. Imagine adding that to your ult, just inherently. And then, like, Janna ult gives you all the, like, that heal is ticking constantly. So those resistances are refreshing.
Sona W is on a 2-second cooldown.
And it goes to the person that is the lowest.
No, it shields everybody if you're in that area.
Oh, right.
It doesn't heal and the shield. And then you think you also have Karma if she does her...
Empowered shield.
Empowered shield. Gives it to everybody around her, too.
Yeah, I love that ability.
I gotta tell you though, like sustained supports have been kind of in a place for a while now, for like all of season 4. So this might help them. And I know that sustain has been one of those things where like people love it or hate it, but all of those champions have been in kind of a crappy place, and this will give them like an opportunity to kind of get back into that like where they're viable again. I think not viable, but like more likely to be picked, more attractive to pick.
Yeah, there's also a later one. I keep saying later one, but there's also a later one for the tanky supports too that you guys also just love because like I know we're just jizzing all over Windspeaker's Blessing right now, but there's a great one for the tanky supports too.
Well, and this one actually, and I do agree. I like the other one better, the one that you're talking about for Alistar. But if you decided you had to go into the utility tree for whatever reason on Alistar, this wouldn't be bad on him either. Because you already have that damage reduction, and now you're having this where you're AoE healing everybody around you. So that could be really strong as well on him.
Yeah. A lot of options. What if I know no one would use this, but Fiora heal, like just getting that AoE after a grand challenge. I think it'd be stupid, but it'd be kind of funny to see. But yeah, the other two Storm Raiders is the dealing 30% of a champion's max health, gives you 35% move speed. It does have a 10-second cooldown, so you're not able to just like burst and be moving like Jinx after getting like 2 kills in a row. But I think it's going to be really useful for champs that want to stick to you. I think Talon and Zed are the first ones that come to mind for sure, with LeBlanc being not too far behind. I think they will get this every single time, especially the ones that are AD based.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
Really?
I feel like they want to just kill the person within 2 seconds and then reset. I mean, they're going to have to wait for the cooldowns to come back up, so they can't really chase at the movement speed.
They're not meant to be in a sustained fight like that.
I was about to say, if they haven't killed somebody in that short amount of time, they probably either had done something wrong or they have to back off and completely reset and wait for another opportunity to try and blow somebody up.
And
you don't have to kill somebody to do it.
But that's the thing. They don't have any cooldowns because it's a 3 second. You have gain movement speed for 3 seconds and has a 10-second cooldown.
Why use this ability on, let's say, LeBlanc when you can get an ability that gets you more ahead? Like as an assassin, when you're ahead, you want to get more ahead. Gaining movement speed for doing damage doesn't get you ahead. Doing more damage while doing damage gets you ahead. So that's why you're going to gravitate toward any of those abilities that do extra damage.
Yeah, I guess I could maybe see instead like Talon or Akali that like at the beginning of a fight, I'm thinking team fight more than like in lane. I'm not thinking
Akali though is like Deathfire Grasp,
Deathfire Touch.
Deathfire Touch I could grasp.
Well, that was
I think
the first
even
thing.
on LeBlanc, like Deathfire Touch,
exactly.
If you don't finish them off, this can finish them off for you.
That's exactly right. So you don't kill them, they still have damage ticking on them, and then they died a second and a half later. You still did your job, and that's the reason you did it.
And the amount of damage that you build on someone like LeBlanc or Talon or something, that raw damage would make it optimal for the percentage damage on Deathfire Touch. Now, in my opinion, plus you don't lose the percentage of magic penetration, which it still adds up. I mean,
you still get some there.
Well, to kind of defend Serial here, just because there's a talent that's one tier up. It's called Intelligence. Your cooldown reduction cap is increased by 1%. So you get 45, or it's 5 points, so you get 5%. You have 45% cooldown reduction, so that potentially could make this a candidate for LeBlanc. She has 45% cooldown reduction, means she could blow up 2 people, or blow up a person in half or whatever.
My thought was more that you're already able to kill people like prior to these masteries. That's what I was thinking. Like, I know that this helps you kill them more.
Maybe the speed gets you to a point where when you reset it, you can actually get into a position where you can kill somebody else quickly too, right afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the follow up is more what I'm thinking than like getting out is. But I know you have a spell rotation that's going to be off cooldown. But like I think I was thinking more Zed Talent who have the AD, not that don't need to rely technically on cooldowns to do all of their damage. We'll see. I'm curious.
I personally think that like runes and masteries, like, I don't know. I'm a big fan of like making what you do better. So if you can burst people down, you do a lot of damage, then why not take advantage of that? As opposed to like how often on LeBlanc do you really want to chase somebody? Usually you pop in, you pop out. And half the time when you pop out and you're waiting for those ignite ticks to go down or something like that, are you going to really want to jump right back in? Like most people are already back to their team because they use their skill to get back out. I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's just how I tend to use runes and masteries because I see it as more of like a way, like a little way to enhance your already good talents. But
all right, one random thing, and I don't know if you guys will agree or disagree on this. Like, let's for a second think about it on like somebody like Aurelia. Like she's able to jump to a squishy, and she can deal 30% of a person's damage pretty quick, and sticking on them with like Keaton style active. Would that be a little more attractive, or would you?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good example. I was actually trying to the entire time I'm trying to think of who this would be good on. Like I can't think of anyone.
I could make
example.
An example. Hey, you're Olaf. You get a Q off. You run up. You end up using your E. You smack them once. They're down a bunch of damage. Let's say you're chasing down that vein with your ult up, and you can do 30% of her damage, and then she's not running away from you, or somebody who can slow you doing the exact same thing. There are certain champions this might work on.
Can you do 30% of someone's damage in 2 seconds as Olaf?
Yeah.
I suppose you can if you're sitting.
Have you not seen how much damage Q does if you max it first?
Yeah, it does do a lot.
It's retarded.
Considering the fact that a lot of people, because the cutting tree is pretty much the utility tree now, are going to go down this road of support, I think that this isn't a terrible idea if you're going like an AP caster, either like an Annie or a Vel'Koz or a Brand, who can do that quick burst, and then you can either get out. Like Annie, you got to flash in. Like how often do you get out? They can get out and things like that. That's possibly an option too. Yeah,
that's I think one of the more obviously it's one of the more polarizing ones so far, just from our small discussion. But
Thunderlord's Decree is the one I'm looking at that I'm not.
Renekton could probably use it too, because he can jump in and then stick on somebody. He can do 30% damage pretty easily with his combo.
You don't think that somebody... Okay, so let's talk Thunderlord's Decree here, just because you brought up Renekton. I think it's a good segue into it. It's your third attack or spell on an enemy champion, shocks the area around them, dealing 10 per level plus 20% of your bonus attack damage and 10% of your ability power is magic damage. So it does damage as magic damage in an area around you. Somebody like Renekton, do you not think they might potentially pick this up? Because it is your third attack or spell on an enemy champion, meaning W procs it 3 times, right? No, twice, because it's not an ability.
Personally, I think Renekton benefits better from other trees than cunning.
Wait. Say that again. Thunderlord's Decree would proc how many times?
You would just get 2 attacks with W. W, it doesn't add anything, but it auto attack reset. But I guess it's 3 attacks if it's empowered.
If it's empowered, that's 3 attacks. So you could get an instant Thunderlord's Decree out, but what's the giant benefit that you're getting out of that? Like this. You have something that's gated. Well, it's gated on a 30-second cooldown. If they start, like, let's say you get your W off, they start in the middle of the circle. They only have to travel half the distance to get out of it. And then how much actual bonus damage are you building to make this crazy? Yeah, sure, it's 20% of your bonus damage or 10% of your ability power. And what? 10 damage per level plus 20%. Okay, so you might be able to get a lot of damage out of this in a really, really raunchy late game fight, but
mid game. Well, no, it's like one of those. Again, you're ahead.
Fight in Dragon Pit or something. Yeah,
that's one of those. You're ahead, get further.
Maybe
ahead
like
type abilities.
Spammy, like sustained damage. Like maybe like a Ziggs or something could use it if you go into utility tree.
People can sit in the middle of a minion wave, you use it, and then it's automatically hitting minions, and you just screwed yourself by procking it in a bad spot, and now your wave's shoving the opposite direction. Like, this is going to be something.
An enemy champion,
it's only enemy champion.
You still got a good point. If they're standing the ranged minions and you hit them, then it's still going to.
Then you're still like you could really, really screw yourself by taking this and not knowing how to use it, and then. Even still, the biggest benefit you're going to be getting out of it is the 10 damage per level that you're getting, because on most of the people that at least I see using this, you're not going to be building a bunch of bonus attack damage or ability power on.
It depends what the item reworks look like for people, because it might not be like Tiamat's Rush anymore, with the way.
And that's true, because they still are changing a lot of itemization stuff up.
I feel like with Renekton, you're either going to be going tanky or you're going to go bruisery. Either situation, you're not going to benefit from this.
Right.
I have a few questions about this, and I don't think Days you got. I was looking at Twitter. I don't know if you got the answers to these. 2 main things. One is that 30-second cooldown per champion, because if you're talking about, let's say hypothetically you have a Hurricane, Rune's Hurricane, and you throw out 3 auto attacks that hit 3 champions each. Does that
No,
proc
it's
on
gonna
each
be
of
a
them?
30
I don't
second-
think it stacks, but
it's
I
gonna
don't
be a
know if it
30-second internal
resets.
cooldown.
So
But I don't know if it resets.
I don't
Like, I don't
about
know
that,
if you
'cause it
hit one
seems weak
person and
otherwise.
then
well,
It seems really weak unless
how
you-
about
it
this?
seems lackluster to me.
How about
Yeah.
this? If you use a Renekton Q in the middle of 3 people, which person does it prioritize to drop the decree on?
I think it's each. And I think that once you would get a third onto one of them, it would proc on, I guess, the first one, and then it be on cooldown. Or I don't know if it would hit all 3, and then I don't know if it's internal for each of them or
Like-
if it's.
There's no way it's an internal feature. It's probably it's a 30. I would say if you hit 3 people with a Renekton Q on a third attack, it's gonna proc it on all 3 people. But
I
they're
mean,
only
that,
gonna
like,
take.
if-
They're all gonna take the damage they would normally take anyway.
Well, and how big is this would the circle be on this? Because if you
Haven't found
depending
out.
on
Again, I
how
guess
big
it
it is, if you hit 3 people with it and it procs on all 3, then you have like an entire line of space that they'd be taking damage in if they were staying. And if you're standing in the middle of 3 people, let's say
It
you're
becomes like
standing.
a rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's say you're standing in the middle. There's one person in front of you, there's one person behind you, and there's one person to the side. Does it just automatically choose the person? Like, which person does it choose to go on if it doesn't go on all 3? And how long does this last? Because I don't see anything in here
So
saying like
it's probably
It's
just
one.
instant.
It's instant damage.
Okay,
I think that what it would do is it would, if it only was able to hit one champ and then go on cooldown, I think what it would do is it would stack up to 2 times on every champ, and then the first one you hit for 3 immediately drops that passive on everybody else.
Okay.
And
So
procs it.
if I've got 3 people in a triangle and I smack all 3 with an Renekton Q, so it procs it on each person, assuming it works that way, does that mean each person takes
1 stack.
no 1 stack from each that's hit, because it does damage in an area based on the champion hit. So like you hit Renekton in front of you, that procs. It also procced on the Riven behind the Renekton, so now Renekton's taking the Riven damage and the damage it procced on him.
Oh no. Okay. I thought you were saying if it could only
In other words,
drop that
can this,
damage on 1 champ.
in other words, can this compound like crazy and you're taking 5 shots of it because you hit a 5-man Q or something on somebody?
I don't
That's just
think
something
so.
you need to
You'd
test.
have to
can't
be at 2
imagine
stacks.
that.
You have to be at 2 stacks, I'd think.
No, I'm just saying if it procs the third attack, if it's an AoE attack, it
how
should
are you
technically
getting?
proc
So it's
on
How are you
kind of a
getting 2
situation-
attacks off on 3
hey,
separate
hey,
people?
I think you guys are reading this
and then
wrong.
procking
I think-
all 3 at the same time.
It shocks
think
the
you're-
area around them.
No. Hey, I think you're reading this as the third attack on enemy champions. Like if I hit 1, 2, 3 different champions, I think it's meaning to say
It's
if
on
I
you.
go up to 3 different champions and smack one of them 3 times,
Yes.
it'll proc, but not if I hit all of them once. I
So
don't think
how
it'll
many
proc.
times are you going to be able to hit 3 champions with 3 spells at the same time?
I
You
don't
would
know.
have to like
I would
dash
think
in
you'd have
with
to, like-
Renekton, dash back out, and Q all at the same time in order to make that happen.
or
No,
it'd be like jumping in with a Zac E, popping W, and then hitting Q.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's-
fine.
that's a good
and
way to
I
put
think it's something that ticks up, and we don't know if it. I need to know if it hits, if you can hit multiple champions.
This is
with
something
it.
we should have tested. All right, so we have
I
we,
wanted to-
this comes back. This comes back. We have to go test it. We've spent a lot of time on
Yeah.
Thunderlords.
We're conjecturing a lot about something
Right.
that it would be very,
don't know.
very simply explained.
All
in
our
about
listeners
5
just got
minutes of-
really, really mad at us for conjecturing.
Thoughts
about
for
this.
Storm Raiders Surge and Thunderlord's Decree is that they don't seem as strong as the Frosty
Would be.
ones. I feel like those would be nice to haves if I want the other stuff in Cunning.
Right.
Otherwise, like I'm not choosing Cunning because of one of these keystones,
for the
unless it's
cap.
Windspeaker's Blessing.
You'll be doing it for
Right.
the cap, if anything, besides wind speakers.
Yeah, see, that ends up being the problem. That like if you go down 17 points in the tree, you have 1 point extra to spend somewhere. Because you can go down to Oppressor, for example, and Ferocity, which is tier 1, 2, 3, 4, which is tier 4 out of 6. So then you have 1 point. Do you want 1.4% magic penetration? For
Wait,
example,
what?
If I spend 17 points in Cunning and I don't want any of the Keystone Masteries, that's 1 point that I have to spend someplace else.
Why would anyone do that?
I'm
though?
just saying though, because like you look at these, like Punch said, you just pick it up because you want all the
Oh,
other.
yeah.
I
Okay,
mean, they're
yeah.
still the most powerful thing you can get for 1 point.
Yeah, you
but
have
I'm
to pick
saying
it
I
up.
would only get them if I wanted the other stuff in the Cunning tree.
Exactly.
But utility tree's always been so strong. And if you look at the things, we'll go over like the other tiers in utility, there's some really strong aspects of that tree. So I think that Punch has a good point. Like you don't pick the cunning tree for that last point unless it's wind
Pick for the
speakers.
stuff above it.
You pick it for the path that you go down.
Okay.
You pick it for 5% extra cooldown reduction cap and a bunch of other crazy stuff.
And,
Yeah.
Cooldown. Yeah. Okay. So keep Windspeaker's Blessing in mind as we talk about the Resolve tree, because this is, I think that Maokai just made like a huge comeback thanks to Resolve tree. If you look, we'll start bottom left. Grasp of the Undying. Every 4 seconds in combat, your next attack against an enemy champion steals life equal to 3% of your maximum health. And this is halved for ranged champions. Strength of the Ages. Large monsters and siege minions that you or nearby allies kill grant you 20 and 10 permanent health. 20 and 10 permanent health.
It's 25 now. That got
Okay.
updated.
It's not updated on the PB.
So 25 for large monsters and 10 for
Actually, it
siege
might be
minions.
up it. My bad. It might be.
Yeah, on the PB right now it's 20 and 10.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, okay, that's why I said respectively, because it's large monsters and siege minions. Confusing. After reaching the max bonus further, siege minion kills restore 100 health. So, do you have to be in the range of the siege minion to get that 100 health? I'm assuming yes. It's not like you're gaining tons of health.
From how I understand it, it's you can double jungle and get this bonus because you're getting 20 max HP like permanently from large monsters, so jungle camps. And then if you're, I believe, around siege minions after you've hit that 300 max cap, like I guess an experience range probably would be the right range, then you'd get that 100 health just for free.
Okay, let's talk Bond of Stone. 4% damage reduction. While near an ally, this bonus is doubled, and 8% of the damage they would take from champions is dealt to you instead.
Wow.
Save me, Braum. Save me.
Yeah, Braum was the first person I thought
Save
of.
me, Maokai. With my damage reduction on my ultimate, now I'm taking the damage for you while I'm taking 8% reduced damage thanks to my passive.
So I think the thing to think about with divers like Maokai is it has to be someone like Maokai who's going to dive and lock people down, not the diver that's going in for like the solo 80 carry kill, because then they're going to be out of range. It's an 800 range for the damage reduction and all that stuff. So if you dive too far, yeah, it's really good, and it's good enough for Maokai. That's one of the reasons. Actually, Maokai was the person I thought of too. But if you dive too far, like if you play, like, I don't know, Glass Cannon Vi and you dive to the back line, you're not going to do anything. Like, you're not helping your team at all. So just make sure it's somebody like a Mumu you could do it on. Anyone tanky that you're just going to go in and
supports, like Alistar or Braum, I guess.
Tanks. Yeah, Alistar is great. So is Taric, because not only do they take damage, they have an AoE heal. Mm-hmm. So if they poke your AD in lane and you're taking 8% of that damage, you heal yourself and them.
And you heal them, right.
And you have more pots normally.
More effective. Yeah, it makes your heals way more effective when you can do it that way.
I'm going back up this tree a couple tiers because we haven't got this far, but Runic Armor, it is an additional with 5 points, 8% bonus to all shields and healing on you.
Yeah,
like
that's armor I want to bring up later.
Soraka got so good. I mean, like, she was broken already. You look at this and you add Windspeaker's Blessing, she got fucking broken.
Well, it's more of your 80 carry would take that.
I know,
it would
but
be stupid.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Soraka just in general got fucking broken thanks to Runic Armor.
Yeah, it's a good thing she wasn't popular already in solo queue. Oh wait,
or anyone with the ability to shield and heal, they got better.
Oh yeah,
Aurelia. I think Aurelia would benefit from that.
I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people saw that. I think a lot of people saw that the Ardent Sensor wasn't that popular, and so they're like, well, we got to buff heals and shields a little bit more, and maybe that'll push it into super viability. And I think it's going to be really, really big.
Let's go back to Keystone.
But there's another health regeneration thing right there, and I feel like we're forgetting that regeneration mastery that we had in defensive tree earlier this season, and Mundo was OP as balls.
Oh yeah,
right.
And now we've got 3
in Resolve. But all right, no. So the Keystones, real quick. That Grasp of the Undying is the one that I was alluding to earlier with Chira saying he would stay in a fight for a long time. It's like every 4 seconds, which is kind of a long time while you're in combat, your next attack against an enemy champion steals life. Days found out that it is magic damage, so that can still be mitigated. I don't know if it would be like true damage or something, but equal to 3% of your max health. It would be much better if it was
true damage, but
anything would be better if it's true damage.
4 seconds in combat, so
it's not immediate.
You'll get 2 of these off during a team fight, if 2.
But I don't know if it's saying that like the first second in combat you can use it, and then 4 seconds later you can. That's kind of. I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
would think that that's
It's
what it is.
probably on
No,
your
that-
4th second.
I think it'd be the initial second.
I would,
and then
yeah.
4 seconds later.
I see it as being the initial second because it's like you immediately enter combat. You have the ability to use it. It's not on cooldown yet.
No, but as you immediately enter combat, and that starts the timer for 4 seconds, you wouldn't want the initial heal as soon as you enter combat, because that would be a waste of an ability. Because you,
Well, no, that's
Zach
not true at all.
Zach flies over the wall at max
let's
life
say
and hits
you-
somebody and gains nothing.
Just okay, or you walk out of the jungle with half health, you run up to somebody, you hit them, and you
Sure.
get health back for it. You weren't in combat up until that point. You just happened to be at half health.
I don't.
How does that not make sense?
I doubt it because it's every 4 seconds in combat. I would assume.
All right,
that it
hey
would be
guys,
4
we're
seconds
not
per
going to
second.
resolve this because we don't know the answer to it yet. So
It's more
So
fun to
we can still
argue
fight
though.
about it.
Don't stifle the arguments. They're more fun.
but we don't know.
They're more fun though. They make the podcast
all right,
entertaining.
my bet is that it's the first hit and then another hit every 4 seconds thereafter.
I agree. With that.
I bet that's how what
I
I
if it's
feel.
the
incredibly
first
agree
hit,
with Adam.
Is it that important if it's the first hit since you're gonna be at full health probably anyways?
No, Chira just
No,
argued this walking
I'm
out of
not
jungle.
saying that no. Like I'm not
But
saying
it's more likely that you need it at 4 seconds instead of at the first second.
that's most definitely true. That is very much true. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was the first hit and then every 4 seconds thereafter.
All right, I'm asking. All right, next thing. I think Grasp of the Undying is overshadowed by the other two.
I agree with this. Who is this
so.
diplomat on this podcast? Sorry. Who the hell invited the goddamn diplomat? We argue on this podcast. Cyril, do not stifle the argument.
I'll stifle it with wine instead.
All right, Jen, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I think you could take it on like Rene, Mundo, like Cho'Gath, like people like that who are going to stick in fights for a long time. But I think honestly that it's overshadowed by the other two keystones in this area. Like if you're going to go that far to the defensive tree, you might want to. I think the other two are better.
If you were able to stack Strength of the Ages all the way up, that's probably giving you more health at times that you would need it than any of the heal off 3% of your max health, because you would need 3k health just to get 100 damage of lifesteal from Grasp of the Undying, and you need 12 total seconds to get 300 health out of that. Meanwhile, you enter the fight with 300 health, so that's already a pool to draw from, and a lot of fights don't even last 12 seconds.
Yeah, Strength of the Ages is going to be really hard to stack. I mean, that's 15 large monsters just to get to the max.
Oh, I did math. Okay.
Oh, I did math. She was so
Yeah,
excited. Oh my god, guys, I found a calculator.
Okay, well, that was my question too, because one, it is relevant at every stage of the game, but when anything that has like a max that you can hit, everyone goes, oh, okay, well, it's not good until I hit the max. Well, that's not necessarily true, but if you take it on something like support or a top laner, if you don't get any jungle camps at all, and all you do is get every cannon minion that comes to your lane, at 33 minutes and 30 seconds, you will hit max.
Oh, woof.
So
That's
but there's a couple things with that. One, if you're a really, really weak top laner and you're going to double jungle, you come to lane with 40 extra health.
Didn't they?
That's pretty big. And you get the sustain throughout the lane phase of getting that extra health.
We have to consider the changes they made for potions as well, because potions are, what is it, 20, 15
50,
gold?
man.
They're
50
50 gold total. Yeah, they're 50 gold. They cost 50 gold now, and there's no mana potions too. And lane minions spawn sooner, and so do monsters. So does that make double jungle viable? Which is going to be really hard to test until it goes to live, because no one's playing normal games on PvE.
One thing I wanted to ask Chira this a little bit about Strength of the Ages. And I was thinking about it as potentially for like a tankier jungle where I didn't necessarily see them taking Bond of Stone or anything else, honestly, in the for a keystone.
Maybe
like I feel like that
Shyvana?
might not be horrible. Like you're building up extra health in the jungle early
It's
on.
free health.
And when I was thinking about it, it was still 25 health. Now it's down to 20, so it's 15 large monsters instead of 12. I think it would be kind of cool for like a Moo.
It's free health, and for people who are building Cinderhulk as well, you're getting the extra bonus from that.
true.
That it's working in conjunction with each other. I could see this on somebody like Nunu, who at any time, if he is warding, can just walk into the enemy jungle, steal their large camp right in front of somebody's face, walk out and have extra health. So like he'd be able to stack it quicker if the new knew what he was doing, or something like that.
It's even more viable with a new jungle item, which we'll cover. I don't know when.
Eventually.
Monday. The other thing, I think it increases people's willingness to help your jungler if they go to counter jungle. Because if you're a top laner and you see them going into that jungle, you can go, you get something out of it. It's not a waste of your time, things like that. But also, like, later on, if let's say you stack it and you're at, like, 30 minutes, you get that extra 100 health for someone killing a minion. You're probably a really tanky, like, short range, whatever, getting poked down. If you're sieging and you're just killing minions, then that could help you stay there a little bit longer.
To one of your points earlier about it's making people do things, I just would like to counter with the League of Legends warding stat that came out today, where 65% of people do not buy extra wards. If we take that 65% number just for shits and giggles, 65% of people aren't going to come and help you.
No, but it's an incentive for the people who do.
So is warding. Like
that was less shoehorned than I was expecting.
That's because Riot didn't tell us until today that warding is a good idea.
Right.
Why did they wait so long?
A month out before they
I'm drinking as a support to that.
A month before they remove the invisible wards, the stealth wards. Let's put out an article about it.
It's crazy.
So
I feel someone was like, "Oh shit, this is going to be irrelevant in a month. We better put this out now."
Why do you think I was tweeting about the day? I had this whole like narrative I wanted to tweet, but it would have been like 15 tweets about how Riot Jules was begging, and then they just kept pushing it back, and he was like, "We have to get it out before it's too late."
I put all this work into it. Yeah, eventually.
Real quick, just if I calculated in when I said the 33 minutes, if I calculated in the increased rate of cannon minions, so yes, I did. If anyone's concerned about that, that does take that into account.
Cool.
We've spent 52 minutes talking about Keystone Masteries, and we still have.
All right, tier 1.
All right, I had a few that I wanted to discuss, like the differences between, because there's I feel like most of the masteries, and people can go look them up, there's pretty clear options for what you're trying to do with your character, but there are a few that like actually had real like decision making to be done. Like obviously we talked tier 5 of the offensive tree, it's armor pen versus magic pen. You can pretty easily figure out what kind of one you're going to go for depending on what champion you're going.
But I think there are a few the only like cut and dry tree, honestly.
Yeah. Well, no, I think there was the bounty hunter and oppressor were interesting ones to me.
Which ones are those? What tier?
That's one where you deal 1% increased damage for each unique champion you kill. So obviously a max of 5% increased damage. Yeah, you said Frosty.
I know. I want to make sure that people that are following along that are.
Yeah, this is tier 4. This tier 4 of Frosty. The other one is you deal 2.5% increased damage to targets with impaired movement, i.e., slow, stun, snare, taunt, whatever. So that one was real interesting to me because you're either banking on getting kills on every champ or kind of getting a mini talent passive.
So bounty hunter, essentially, you'll probably walk out with 2 to 3% unless you.
You'd have to do. I'm thinking roaming assassin for that one.
Yeah, bounty
jungle
hunter.
Maybe
bounty hunter.
Like jungle,
Lee Sin jungle,
assassin that
but
roams.
You have to kill it, and a jungler should not all the time. But more times than not, be giving that to the laners, especially with the way that ranked is working now, and you're going to get to play with people.
Yeah, but I mean, like a damage heavy jungler like Elise or Lee Sin, I was thinking it might be pretty cool on.
Possibly, it's still hard to say that you're going to get all 5 champions throughout a game.
Oh yeah, you're not. It is, although it is increased damage overall. Both of these are increased damage to targets. Or whoever. It's not 2 only champions, 2 only minions. It is full across the board increased damage.
It's gonna be if you're Elise, you're picking up Oppressor because you want the kills
your
early.
Stun, yeah.
That's pretty much what it looks at. What is your goal for the game, and how much are you going to be in a farm lane? Or are you a jungler that has some kind of CC? It's kind of cut and dry when it comes to that ability. I don't think there's that many champions out there that go, I want this or this.
The other thing is that might actually change based on what game you're playing. Because if you're playing with a team that has heavy CC, then maybe you want to take Oppressor when you didn't normally. Or if you're playing with a team that you're the only source of CC or slow, and it's not that noticeable or not that reliable, then maybe you want to go with Bounty Hunter because at least you're guaranteed like 1 or 2, right? You know, so it might actually change on what game you're playing too, not just if you have a Sejuani on your team, then you might just want to go with Oppressor.
Right. I could see Bounty Hunter being way better also if you're playing into a team of people who are going to be really squishy anyway. So you can kind of like try. Point. Yeah, like you end up, there's that TF mid who just doesn't get going right off the bat, and you're able to get a kill off on him, and then you can use that money to end up going bot lane and pick up another kill. You're already doing 2% increased damage. You're 5% from what you would have with Oppressor, and that's if you land. We'll use Elise. That's if you landed your stun. You get 1 more kill after that. So what? Does Bounty Hunter max out at 5% total damage, or can like? Yeah. All right, so you can basically kill each person uniquely. If you're able to start getting 1 kill going, it's for the most part early out of the jungle. You can probably get a kill on most other people throughout the game. I
don't know how many times that I've killed every person at least once in a game to get that 5%. That seems really hard to stack.
The other thing to take into consideration is that tanky champions rule mid game and like damage rules late game. So if you're more likely to get those kills mid game on those squishy champions who haven't built all their damage first. But if you're playing against tanky Renekton and a Mundo and an Elise, or like champions that are just hard to lock down or hard to kill, there's a good chance that even if you kill them, it's not going to be until later in the game when you have a lot of damage, and then it's going to be a lot less effective because you've gone through most of the game without it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think something else we need to discuss here, because I'm gonna put a cap on this one, is that we need to talk about intelligence in the cutting tree. It is tier 5 intelligence. Again, cooldown reduction cap is increased by 1%, gain 1% cooldown reduction. So you start the game with 5% cooldown reduction, and you have a 5% increased cap on your cooldown reduction. Meaning you get 45% cooldown reduction total after you've built all the items, and a lot of items now have cooldown reduction on them. So this seems like an item that you would
be exciting.
It's an exciting item.
It's really good because the other option is the it's 3 plus 0.3 per level armor pen and magic pen, which maxes out at 8.4 total, and like that just does not seem nearly as sexy as increasing your cooldown reduction cap.
Right.
Well, I think they did that on purpose. I don't think they meant for this to become an additional offensive tree.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that definitely seems pretty pre-planned for them to do that. It's just such an attractive option. I can't imagine a lot of situations in which you'll go precision instead.
Yeah.
The thing to keep in mind, though, is that it gives you the extra cap, but it also gives you the extra CDR. So don't start buying like 45% CDR because they give it to you with that.
So
I don't think it's possible anymore. There's nothing that gives 5% in anything. I don't believe.
No, but people will go. People will go ahead. People will go over. And don't Lucidity
Runes. Sorry, Runes is the only way you could go 5.
Lucidity's 15.
Not anymore. Right. It dropped to 10.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It dropped to 10 with 10%.
But either way, people go over all the time, and I could see someone going, "Oh, I have to buy 50% CDR so I can get my 45." Just something to keep in mind.
I think intelligence, just this one ability, makes like Rise so much more appealing than he is already. You have to be like amazing to play Rise already because you have to weave so many Qs in between your abilities at being the cooldown it is. But
he can already perma root you. Does he need the extra 5%?
How many more Qs can he get off with 5% extra cooldown reduction? I mean, he's not really building damage. He's already going down the utility as it is to stay alive. This gives.
They might have to nerf him for that mastery.
Yeah, I mean, if he's already going down utility, sure, he's gonna get that.
Yeah,
and does that make Thunderlord's Decree a good mastery to pick up on Rise? Because your third attack, you're spamming abilities so quickly. Why not?
Well, that's the thing, that you have to look at like tier 4 and tier 3. Like tier 4, there's nothing really that he gains. There's nothing Dangerous like games? Great. Yeah, Dangerous Game is something, but it's not like amazing. It's not like some of the other. Are you willing to give up something in the offensive tree for that?
I think so.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the rest of the tree is worth it for Rise.
I don't know. I
like that there's so many more options now.
technically with Thunderlord and Intelligence, you could use that on people like Ziggs and just perma like bomb people and stuff like that. But again, is it worth going all the way into the Cunning tree to get that and giving up some of the stuff that you get out of the Ferocity tree?
You only
why wouldn't
up
this be Storm Raiders? Why wouldn't you go Storm Raiders on Rise? You could just stick onto them with that.
You really could.
Yeah.
But he's perma-rooting you already.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, now you dance around him. Hey, so one thing I wanted to cover real quick, and I hope that it's going to be interesting later. Like, a lot of people are thinking it's going to be 18-12 in 2 different trees. I'm curious to see if jungles go like a mix of 6-6-18 in some order.
Just because they would get Strength of Ages out of Resolve though for the additional life.
No, they might. No, sorry, like 6-6-18 or 18-6-6 or 6-18-6. But like, I feel like the first 2 tiers help jungles really well with either the blocking monster damage or the dealing 5 extra damage to minions and monsters or attack speed. That's what I'm curious to see if jungles start going that route instead of what everyone's kind of doing, which is 18 and 12 into 2 trees in some order. I really want to see how jungles do that.
But what do you lose doing that? So like, let's assume
you lose a tier. You lose a tier 3 and 4 is essentially.
So yeah, you would lose a presser example if you did Elise. So you wouldn't get that additional.
Well, you might. Yeah. Well, yeah. You might be going 20. You might be going 18 there anyways on Elise.
Sure. But I'm just pointing that out. Like, you lose. You either lose Bounty Hunter, Oppressor, Bandit, or Dangerous Game by doing that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if that works because like they brought back the buff timer increase and the second tier of Cunning, which I think is kind of going to be really, really good, obviously for jungle.
If a jungle doesn't go down Resolve down to Insight, because Insight, your summoner spells have 15% reduced cooldown, which means Smite has a 15% reduced cooldown. I think that's, I like the idea depending on the jungler you're playing, but I do think Insight and Oppressor are too powerful of abilities to give up for a little bit of sustain that you are gaining from Savagery, the tier 2 talents you'd be picking up with those 6 points.
Well, you'd be giving up. Wait, Savagery. What?
You'd be giving up one or the other, essentially. Like if you went down Ferocity, you would have Oppressor, but then you would not be able to pick up Insight, which is your summoner's spells have 15% reduced cooldown. On the other hand, you could go lay down Resolve, and then you would not get Oppressor if you did the 6 and 6, for example.
Yeah, but you'd be giving up Runic Affinity, which I feel like is going to be very core on junglers, because like 15% buffs on every buff. We're talking like the Gromp buff and the Krugs. Like all those going up, not just blue and red and Barons.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know that that's worth giving up. Like I get it. I get that you get like but usually people use them later in the game. You get the chickens because that one's important. I'm not sure that having that last 15% longer is that important. I don't know. I feel like it's more beneficial to get something like I don't know. Just
getting another tier 4, getting 2 tier 4s instead of 3 tier 2s. Yeah, no, I'm just curious if jungle's the only one that I think would do it.
Even Perseverance is good. I mean, if you have problems sustaining in lane, or not sustaining in lane, but like sustaining later in team fights, if you're that melee, I mean that's huge. And this isn't for jungle, but can you imagine how trolly that Perseverance will be on someone like Mundo? With that health regen and shit like that.
Yeah, I'm just curious if anyone's going to break that. Right now. That's all. I'm curious.
I'm sure people will mess around with it. I'm just not sure that it's like theory crafting wise. I'm not sure that I would do it. I'm not sure it's worth it.
Yeah, I've built it. I've made one of my pages that like a 6-6-18 page, but I've only played one game.
15% reduction on Smite cooldown. That's kind of hard to give up.
No, that's what I'm taking. I'm taking that still. I'm taking 6-6-18 right now on a tankier.
Yeah, but you're going all the way down Resolve. I'm assuming we're going down Ferocity or Cunning or something. You know what I mean? Like Ferocity, you said Elise, for example, could all the way down Ferocity. And Deathfire Touch does a ton of that would do a ton for Elise. Like,
right.
Then you're giving up Insight on her when she could be taking minions more quickly, and you get the idea.
But I mean, and that might be something that's more specific for certain champions. So like, hey, this is a champion that helps win by snowballing out of control early to end up getting somebody else a bunch of kills or getting you a bunch of kills. Is getting a kill advantage worth more than having slightly better objective control? at any point in the game. Maybe it depends on how confident you are in your ability to. If you're really, really good Elise or Lee Sin player and you can take advantage of your early game power to just swing things out of control, that would be better than banking on having more smites over the course of the game. But the thing is, the longer the game goes, those smites become way more important.
Yeah, this is still so fresh. I know I've only played like 10, 15 games on PBE. There's so much still to figure out on these.
Let's leave it there and let that marinate for a bit, because I think as we come back around for the PBE, we're gonna be talking a lot about preseason stuff, and I know we will come back around for masteries again and time again as this as the podcast ages and as the PBE changes and as what they do. So I'm gonna let us there. Let's all take a moment to cool down here. Everyone take a deep breath. We did it. We made it through the podcast, boys. For the end of the podcast, I do want to urge people that are looking to get better at this game, not specifically League of Legends, but also at getting better at coaching or helping out a team get better, to go check out the ECN Live, which is the esports coaching event. It is €45 to sign up. If you head over to bit.ly/tforcecoach, you guys can sign up for that. It is an online event. If you pay €55, you actually get a membership to the ECN. That it was through Mind Game Weldon's fame. Mind Game Weldon Green, mindgames.gg. There it is. You guys remember Weldon Green. Chris Halfenauer works for mindgames.gg. He wrote for him. They're putting on a big conference, and you can, if you pay the €55, for example, you'll have access to all VODs throughout the entire year, not only with this event. And I think it's a really good opportunity for anybody out there who is interested in coaching. I really should I kind of feel like I should go pay for Urtai to sit down and do that, honestly, because I know he's helping you guys out with fives, and he's continued to do that.
I think he enjoys yelling at people too much.
Okay, so maybe he won't learn enough.
Yeah, that could be a good coaching trait.
Yeah,
works in professional sports.
I'll think about that one. Maybe I'll do that just to have him help, and then he can come back and talk about it. So yeah, go check that out. It's ECN Live. It'll be on your web browser, it'll be on tablet, whatever it is. bit.ly/tforcecoach. That starts on November 16th, so it's not too far away. Day before my birthday. So there you go. Everybody needs to send me RP for my birthday.
Wait. Your birthday is the 17th?
Yeah.
Oh, so your birthday is the day they're cutting my arm open.
I told you that.
I didn't.
No, that's his birthday present.
Sorry, it's November 15th. I said November 16th. It's actually November 15th, which is opening day in Michigan.
Birthday.
No, my birthday is November 17th. The live coaching event is November 15th.
Okay, well, yeah. So
your
I'm
arm is
gonna have
getting
a
open.
I will never. I'll always remember your birthday because I'll never forget the scar. So there we go. This is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Is it because they're tattooing in 11/17 on there?
No, they're doing. Don't even worry about it. You know what? I might have to get a tattoo of your birth date on there to cover up the scar. But whatever.
Thanks,
we'll figure that out. Yeah.
Thanks,
Adam,
buddy.
I'll
pay for. Wow. Fuck you too, buddy. Does anybody have anything else to add for this PBE discussion? No, nothing. Good.
No, we have several more casts to go over the rest of it.
7 more casts to argue and kick Cereal Box off, because no more of this diplomat bullshit. Let us argue.
Doesn't know the rules.
She's gonna start yelling too.
I'll get more drunk next time. Will that be better?
I'll make sure your roommate ices you like 2 or 3 times before.
Yeah, I've been iced twice in a row for these fucking casts. Jesus.
How old are you? All right, guys, that's episode 308. Thanks for watching. Peace.
See you guys.